Hello, loves. Today I wanted to answer a question. How do we move on from that one person? How do we stop ourselves from going back? I feel like we all have that one ex that just shows up in our history over and over again, who seems to know when we're vulnerable and lonely and recently broken up. And we just keep falling into that same pattern over and over again. And I feel like this is something that I did so much, such a part of my relationship history is getting fed up with somebody and like breaking up and, feeling really strong and empowered and then getting lonely and sad and they reach out and we end up back together. Because with only the rosiest of memories, I say yes. And I mean, it is what it is, unless this person is abusive. And then that's a whole other story. And, we need help to get out of those situations. But I feel like more commonly, it's just not a great fit. And while it's not healthy, it's not super unhealthy. So how do we move on? How do we stop the pattern? How do we say no the next time they reach out to us? And it's actually really simple. You have to want to. More than anything else, in your heart of hearts, deep down, you have to want to end the cycle. And that's not to shame you if you don't want to. We're all people doing people things. Get to experience everything that you want to. And wanting to experience things that are painful, I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. I think it's a part of life. It's one of the reasons that we're here. And the really intense emotions, good and bad, are addictive. We're designed to seek them out. That's not an excuse to keep doing it if it's causing harm to you or to other people in your life. But acknowledging that that's where you're at and that when that person calls at 2 a.m. and you pick up the phone, some part of you wanted to more than the rest of you didn't want to. So you got to work on getting yourself to a place where you don't want to more than you do. And maybe that's writing a journal and every day you're with that person putting a little emoji of how you felt that day. I had a mentor once who told me that she did that in this particular relationship, that every day she would sit down on the advice of her mentor and put a happy face or a sad face or an angry face to depict how she felt about this person in this relationship, because she just kept coming in and out and couldn't figure out if she was happy in the relationship or not. And she said that for several months she looked back on her journal and every day it was sort of like a straight not happy, not sad face, and that was still an answer for her and not good enough for a relationship, right? And it helped her break that cycle and get out of that relationship. And I think that can be really freeing, is to actually get clear on what is happening, because when we look back, our memories are faulty, right? We remember intense things, good and bad, and we can totally talk ourselves out of stuff and weigh ourselves into things because we want to. And I think unshaming this wanting to is really important, because I feel like people, especially in my life, were very much like, why do you keep doing this? Or why do you keep getting back with that person? Or, what's wrong with you? With sort of this undertone of why would you do that? You say you're not happy with this person, but you keep getting back together with them. So something's wrong with you. And I really internalized that something was wrong with me. And that maybe something was, but also maybe something wasn't. Maybe this was just where I was at in my life. And as a person, as a human being going through this life, that's just what I was learning at the time. And I do think it's totally fair for people in your life, friends, family, to be like, I get that you're learning this thing right now, but it's painful for me and I can't hear about it, or I don't want to know, or while you're dating this person, I can't be around you. Like setting your own boundaries, it's tough, but I think that's really valuable and it's helpful to see how it's affecting other people. I wasn't very clear on the fact that like my coming in and out of relationships was hurting my friendships and some of my family relationships because I was so stressed out on this roller coaster that I wasn't fun to be around for anybody else, you know? And until I got a little bit more clear with distance from that relationship, I was like, oh, that must have sucked to be friends with me during that time. But that was just another thing that I was learning and that they were learning too. So, not the end of the world. But yeah, so getting out of that cycle, you have to want to. And, I'm a person with ADHD, and so impulsivity is also an issue for me. And if that's an issue for you, there's ways to handle that, right? Turning your phone to airplane mode at night when you're sleeping, not answering any calls or texts after 10 p.m., or telling yourself that you have to wait a day to respond to certain people, or blocking them entirely, or that you have to reach out to somebody that is, a trusted mentor or friend that really you value their opinion and you know that they don't like this person or think that you could do better. And you make a deal with yourself that every time they reach out to you, this ex, you tell your friend. Knowing that there's a little bit of outward sort of scrutiny or whatever, for me, helped me make healthier choices. Knowing that my mentor, who was very gentle and loving, but very real, would be like, is that a good idea? And just let me make the mistake if I really, really wanted to, but would also point out that maybe I had already recognized the pattern and maybe I knew better and maybe that wasn't really what I wanted. And I think that's really important to have people in your life that can love you through the mistakes that you make and, honor that we're human and we get to make our choices. But be clear about sometimes those choices hurt people that are not just us. And yeah, but at the same time, I just want to say I learned so much during those years. And while it's still a pattern that I struggle with a little bit, letting people into my life that I shouldn't or that have hurt me, it's just something that I deal with. It's a part of my life. It's normal for me. And I've managed it to a point where it's not very painful anymore. And I can recognize before I do something, maybe the outcome that it's going to have on other people. So it's not like it's just not a pattern anymore and I'm done now. I think recognizing that it might be something you kind of always deal with. So what are the strategies you can use to handle it and to best manage it? Like, I just feel like there's so much talk sort of in the self-help world about like, and then you're better. Like, and how do you get over it? And how do you move past it? And how do you be a whole new you? And you're always going to be you. And that's amazing. That's not a bad thing, even though sometimes I feel that way. Like, everywhere you go, you bring you with you. And yeah, it's true. You do. So how do you make friends with yourself? How do you find those little quirks and those things that you do adorable instead of obnoxious? How do you make friends with your patterns and the things that you do that are frustrating and damaging and have hurt people and have hurt you? You make amends and you do better next time. And you recognize that you're just human. And you forgive yourself. I think that's a big one for this pattern too, is learning to forgive. That Sometimes we have patterns and we don't love them and we wish we didn't, but we do. And we can own them and acknowledge that this is a thing that we do, and then come up with strategies and recognize that the first few might not work. You might have to go through that roller coaster high and crash several times before you figure out for you that you deserve better, that you want a love that feels calm and consistent and easy in all the right ways. We're not really taught to want that. That's a whole other rant. The way that love is depicted in our society leads us to doing things like this, to going after the bad boy or the bad girl, or dating somebody who doesn't treat us well because they're so exciting. We think love needs to be this big explosion when really I think it should be smoldering, like a warm campfire that you sit next to on a cold night. It's not blinding you. It's helping you not run into rocks. Yeah. So if this is a pattern that you're struggling with, I feel you. You're not alone. And it can get better. It does get better. I don't do the things that I did in my teens and 20s. And I don't think you will either. At any age, you can choose to be different. You can recognize what you do and don't want and start on a path towards getting those things. It's one step at a time, one day at a time, 1 minute at a time sometimes. And you got it. I believe in you. Yeah. Thanks for coming along with me today. I'm Tabby, and I hope you have a lovely day, a lovely week, and a lovely life. I'll see you next time. Bye.